Josh, have you talked to the president about the Donald Trump press conference yesterday?
I have not spoken to the president about the news conference yesterday. As I mentioned, I'm sure that he has followed the extensive news coverage, but I'm not aware that he watched it in real time, and I have not had a chance to talk to him about it.
Okay, and looking at an exchange like that towards the start of the presser, and the way the president-elect handled questions that were shouted out, what are your thoughts on that and how it bodes for moving forward?
Well, I think the best way for me to answer that question is to talk about my own experience, having worked in the White House press office for the last 8 years. As all of you know, except maybe you, Vivian, but maybe everyone else knows, and maybe you've heard, there are ample occasions where I and some of my White House colleagues have not agreed with the way that certain journalists have chose to ask questions of the president. Sometimes we've been frustrated by the number of questions that are asked in one exchange. Sometimes we've been frustrated that questions include either questionable or inaccurate premises. In some cases, we've been frustrated that the line of questioning from a number of journalists has been focused on the same thing. There are other occasions where I've expressed to journalists some frustration with their decision to interrupt the president as he's giving his answer, to try to press him more forcefully. And there have even been occasions where the president himself has betrayed a little frustration about that. But I think even at those moments where our frustration has been most acute, I can never recall a scenario in which I was tempted to throw somebody out of the room.
Never?
I can certainly say that that's nothing that I ever threatened to do, even if the thought did cross my mind. But look, this is part of the process. This is what it means to engage with the press corps. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to make the case that many of the speakers, because there was more than just one yesterday, hard-pressed to make the case that they didn't invite a little conflict and friction. There's some pretty tough, even outrageous claims that were made. And so it's not hard to see how that kind of environment is shaped by the people who organized the event. But ultimately, this exchange of ideas is good for the country. This questioning of people in authority by independent journalists is important to our democracy. That's what we need to that's what ensures the health of our democracy. And so it's important that I guess my point is, I want to make sure that I don't say something in this context, even as I cite my own experience, that would dissuade the incoming administration from participating in this process. It's good for the country. And the president-elect himself indicated that he thought it was good for him. At least it was in the context of the primaries. So I hope that recognizing that he felt like it was in his interest, hopefully he will recognize that it's also in the interest of the country for him to engage in those kinds of question and answer sessions. So I hope he'll work with his staff to continue to do them.